Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of Beneath the Bib. Beneath the Bib? Beneath the Bib. Put my teeth in. I'm delighted to have Jojo with me today. Jo has been a long-standing member of 40 Runs, but I'll let her introduce herself in a minute. And if this is your first time watching Beneath the Bib, welcome to the YouTube channel that is dedicated to 40 Runs running community, and in particular, understanding who our community is and who our members are and what makes them tick when it comes to running. So I'm really glad to have Badass Jo with me today, and I'll explain why I nickname her Badass Jo. But Jo, how are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling refreshed after a fantastic weekend away.
Yeah, you've caught up on your sleep?
Yeah, just about. You know, legs are still a bit tender, but, 40 body action in Alicante. What's not to love?
For those of you who haven't spotted it on the main website, main Facebook page, we might have had a little adventure at the weekend to celebrate my 60th birthday. But in true style, what goes on tour stays on tour, unless Hayden actually posts it all over his vlog. But we'll leave that there.
Yeah, great.
So really pleased that you could join us today on Beneath the Bib.
Thanks for having me.
I believe you've seen a few of these episodes now, haven't you?
I have indeed. I've seen all of them.
You've seen them all?
Yeah, I have. Well, not in totality, but I've dipped in and out of them.
Oh, that's probably the best way. Yeah, so you know what's in store. We're just going to have a little chat, try and find out a little bit more about who the real Jo is. So the first obvious question is how did you find us? When did you find us? What was 40s to you back in the day?
Well, I checked today and I became a member on the Facebook 2020. So right at the beginning of lockdown.
Wow.
But I'd heard about the 40s. I've been lurking since around about 2019. So I ran the Brighton Marathon for the second time in 2019.
Okay.
And I was a member of I think it's the Brighton Marathon Virgins and Veterans group or something like that. That's where I met a Martin, who's a Surrey 40. And I'd seen a post, I don't know, it was from Chris or Sue, trying to lure us over.
Oh,
and
right.
I just thought, who are these people? I've got my running friends here from this Brighton group. Thank you very much. But eventually, I think it must have been lockdown. And then I joined and I haven't looked back.
So did you get involved in any of the crazy antics that happened during lockdown?
The one that stands out is the donut challenge.
Okay.
Remember the donut challenge?
No, remind me of that one. I think I've forgotten that one.
Well, I see. I think it was at that in-between lockdowny phase, when they kind of let you out in the summertime.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then you just had to go and run a 5K and then take a picture of yourself eating a donut. So, send your stats in, send your picture in, get a donut medal. I should have brought the donut medal out, really, but I've got that hanging up in my wall.
Yes, I remember the medal now. Now you mentioned the medal. I remember the
donut medal. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know who 40 Runs are, they kind of now know that we're just a crazy bunch of runners, aren't we? Like that.
And I think there were pub quizzes, on a Friday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they kind of, slowly I got lured into the cult.
I think that was a really important time for the club's development, really, in terms of during that difficult period for us all, finding a way to kind of connect, share our fears and frustrations and have a bit of fun. Really bonded a lot of people together, and I think a lot of people will kind of resonate with that in terms of
100%.
That
100%.
period that brought me into the fold. So what have you been doing since then? If that was 2019, 2020, what have you been up to?
Oh, what haven't I been up to? I've gone from I'm doing one marathon and I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm now training, and that was Brighton 2018. I'm now training for marathon number 8,
which is
Brighton again. So that'll be my third time running Brighton. But obviously it's on the new course. And it'll be a totally different experience this time. I wasn't a 40 the other times that I ran it, and I absolutely loved it. Whereas this time I know for a fact there's a 40 cheer station. I know I'm going to be greeted by some of the London crew at the finishing line, to go and get my T-shirt. And I'm really excited. Just because I know all the 40s are going to be there. I'm going to be part of a big community.
Well, I'm going to be there because I'm running it as well. And given that you've run it before, I need to ask your opinion on what did you really think about Shoreham Power Station?
I quite liked it.
Yeah, I don't know what all the fuss was about.
I don't know what it was a bit stinky. and a bit lonely at places. But if you're prepared, because anyone that knows me knows I geek up on a course. It's part of my OCD. So like even for Alicante, I'd watched the course route. So I'd already watched the Brighton course route before I ran it. And this was before I was a runner. So it didn't really bother me at all.
Let's be honest, at mile 22, you don't really care what's around you, do you? You just want to get to the finish line.
Yeah. Everything hurts. And you're questioning your life choices. Yeah. Can't wait for that to happen again.
You mentioned something about the London crew. Explain to those that are not familiar with 40 Run Satellites who the London crew is.
Yeah, so when I first joined 40s, I'm going to go off on a tangent a little bit here. I clearly remember my first 40 meetup, and that was in between COVID time. And I went with Martin to a run-through event at the Olympic Park, and that's why I met Chloe and Kim. So, and it was shortly after that, my memory fades me as to what year that was. It could have been 20 or 21. I met some 40s after the big half. And I think the satellite started running up around about then. So I first went to the Surrey satellite because as the crow flies, that's closest to me.
Oh, okay.
So, right. Yeah, so I used to go there. And so I met Hayden and, a lot of the old school Surrey crew. And then London came about. And when Sue started up London, which is just over 3 years ago, I was there like a shot. So we meet every Wednesday, and we've just changed locations. We now meet in on Drury Lane at a lovely place called Cruffins. And we do a nice chatty 5K plod, and we take in all the sights of London. And what's good about having a new location, we're starting to get new routes as well. So we've got in lots of little routes under our belts. And it's lots of fun every Wednesday.
And are any donuts involved? Cruffins, is that a kind of...
Well, we're always lured by food. That's always a big thing, Cruffins, or, we do our long runs from there. So we'll always have a breakfast as well.
What's a cruffin?
It's like a cross between a croissant and a muffin.
Oh, croissant.
A croissant. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, if anyone wants to find out for themselves, I guess turn up on a Wednesday. What time do you meet on Wednesday?
We meet at 6:15 to start running at 6:30. Okay.
Your chance to kind of get into Cruffins or whatever.
Come and get involved, people.
Right. Well, talking of getting involved, how did you get involved in running? What's kind of your backstory in terms of?
Well,
you said you signed up for the marathon, but you don't just do that, do you? It doesn't just happen.
No, but I do kind of come from a running family.
Oh, okay. Right.
But, my grandfather was French Corsican, and he used to run all the time. So one of my earliest memories is seeing him on the London Marathon in '81. So I was 3 years old. I remember being in my buggy, seeing him.
So that was the first marathon, wasn't it?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And since he passed, I got his running jacket, and it's actually got loads of badges on it for like 100K races. So I was like, oh, wow, he used to do ultras as well. So it's clearly in the genes.
Yeah.
But I didn't discover that until a while ago. It wasn't, I wasn't very good at sports at school. I was always the last to be picked for anything. I was the last person you'd ever expect to run a marathon. I dabbled in running before. I did the Royal Parks Half about 15 years ago. Didn't really enjoy it. Found it really difficult. But I still did the odd 5K, or did, a 10K. I think I did the Night Human race, but I never got the running bug at all.
Okay.
And then life threw me, quite possibly, one of the worst curveballs you could get thrown. And anyone who knows me really knows that, my husband and I, we've been together a long time. We met 30 years ago, got married 20 years ago, always wanted a family, we were quite clear about that. And it just didn't work out for us. It meant that, over the course of 10 years, we went through 7 rounds of IVF, got pregnant 5 times, twice after IVF. And I have had 5 miscarriages, 2 of which were horrific. And I got diagnosed with PTSD. So I wasn't in a very good place at all. And about 9 years ago,
it must have been
it was tough. Yeah. It was tough. But Paul and I were always solid, So that was the main thing. And during that time, my friends were having babies left, right, and centre. So you could see like your friendship group slowly going that way. How you thought your life was going to pan out just changed. And then 9 years ago, we've discovered why. Found out I've got a really rare genetic disorder, and we had some embryos tested, and all of them came back off. So, our world fell apart, and we were in quite a dark place. And I did go and see my grief counsellor. So that was one good thing with my consultant. He was, after he told us we should stop, he made sure that our heads were sorted.
You were told you couldn't have a family, or?
We were told just to stop trying IVF.
Really?
It's not going to work with my eggs.
Okay.
And it was, our worlds just fell apart. And after so much loss, it's quite easy for others to say, well, why don't you just adopt, which is the worst thing you can say, by the way. Okay. Or just get some eggs. It's not as simple as that. You're grieving, but there were so many potential babies there, but at least we knew why. So it put us in a situation where, we're like, I had incredible guilt, and what do you do with that? What do you do with all that loss? You could either try and make something of your life, or you can give up. And I think most people know I'm not a quitter. So I did go and see my
That's why you're called Badass Joe. I know you're not.
I'm not a quitter. And, I was very angry. And I'm just going to say that was the fuel that was driving all of this. So when I saw my counsellor, he made it very clear that I didn't really need counselling. I just needed to get it out. I was angry. And it was him who suggested that I run. So not doing anything by halves, I left his office. It was July. So I counted like 9 months. April. But obviously we know London Marathon's in April.
Yeah.
But I Googled marathons in April. Saw Brighton Marathon. By the time I got home, I'd entered the Brighton Marathon. Having not really run properly. As I said, I dabbled, but I didn't do any exercise. I went to yoga. I was a yoga bunny, but that was it. But that's how I got into running.
Okay. It's one of those sliding door moments, isn't it? If it said go off and cycle or go out and swim, could have taken a whole different...
Yeah, I probably would have said no to that, to be fair, because I'm very cack-handed, but,
Oh, right. Okay. So he offered up the right solution. Hearing that story, I can't comprehend what that feels like. So how have you been able to kind of take that sadness and that tragedy and kind of channel it going forward?
Well, initially it was like, I'm going to get this done. I had a point to prove.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to tell my body it's going to do something, and it's going to do it. And that was my point. And what channeled it really, and I think I get this every marathon I finish, I'm astonished that I've done it. No matter the time, the longer it's taken me, the more astonished I am that I finished it, because I found it so hard. I'm not saying the faster ones were hard, they're all hard, but and it was that powered me through really. And discovering the 40s, when I eventually went to, I particularly remember the, obviously I've already mentioned Chloe and Kim, but the big half meetup, I remember being really nervous going to the Gypsy Moth, but I remember buzzing, like running, like seeing other 40s and going to the meetup beforehand. But what really struck me was that not one person asked me if I have kids. Not one person. And for the first time, I'm going to say, probably since Paul and I got together, since we got married when I was 28, and that time, we're talking about 10 years ago, it was a long time that no one had asked me about family or kids. So I felt seen. Yeah. And it was like, oh, wow, you're interested. You really, really don't care. And then when I eventually got round to having that conversation, we'd been going to races, we'd been communicating, satellites were starting to form. And when I did have that conversation, 40s just said, oh, I'm so sorry you went through that, and gave me a cuddle.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was, it was just so refreshing. It was like, oh, wow. So I kind of felt like my new feathers were being grown, You know, I was starting to rediscover my purpose, and the constant being challenged to run and try and catch people up, actually, like the Surrey crew, Surrey Massive, they're fast. And I used to love chasing them, you know, and again, I was telling my body to do it, and slowly but surely it started to do it.
Yeah. I love the fact that you describe being part of that 40 family, and what did you say, allowing your feathers to regrow or something?
Yeah.
Because...
yeah, I felt like I was becoming me again.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just a tribute to how great this community is, in that we very rarely judge people by what job they do, where they live, or even how fast they run. You know, it's
not at all. You know, I immediately felt welcome. And I just want to tell everyone about it, you know.
Well, tell us a little bit more about that, because I suspect there aren't many 40s. Now, I may be going on record and getting a lot of follow-up chat about this, but there can't be many 40s that are award-winning filmmakers. Now, I've heard...
Oh, wow, you're gonna make me blush now.
Well, no, you are an award-winning filmmaker. So
I am.
And it is connected to your backstory, to be fair.
And it is. I didn't set out to be.
Tell us how you get to become a 40 Oscar or a 40 BAFTA.
Oh, not quite. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I really am going red now. So simultaneously, so while all this marathoning and running and processing of anger was going on, I was put in touch with a fabulous lady called Dee Harvey. She was a Northern Irish director. And it's because I used to volunteer for various charities when I was either going through IVF, or now as I volunteer for the Miscarriage Association. But back then I used to volunteer for the Fertility Network. That's who I raised money for when I ran Brighton for the first time, by the way.
Okay, right.
Anyway, so she got in contact and she's like, are you happy to chat? I was like, yeah. She's like, you happy for your words to be used? I was like, yeah. You know, it's a bit like free therapy, to be fair. And she was researching, do some factional, like augmented reality type of 8-part documentary about IVF and infertility and stuff. Anyway, she's got hours and hours of me talking. I'm talking about 4.5 hours on record. And from our conversations, she thought the way that I told the story of my first miscarriage was, it was unique, and she felt like my story had to be told. Okay. So it was all very abstract to me at the time. You know, I was just ranting away. I had an immediate connection to this lady. I remember the first time I met her, I was training for marathon number 2, I think, or 1, I can't remember, but I remember she was here. So anyhow, so this hours of recording, it was being transformed into a beautiful animated 10-minute documentary, a virtual reality documentary. It's 100% my voice. It's my story. I'm the protagonist. Yeah. It's called Heartbeats. You can only watch it using a VR headset. Anyway, it got submitted to Rain Dance. So Rain Dance is the biggest independent film festival in the world. So it's where Pulp Fiction came from. Suddenly, Heartbeat was there.
Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction. Like,
wow.
Yeah. You know, what can I say? Woman of many talents.
Met on the red carpet now.
Signatures later. Yeah. And anyway, before I know it, it's having its premiere at Rain Dance, and it's up for the Best Narrative Award. I'm like, you what? My story, Best Narrative? Oh, don't be silly. And they're asking me, do you want to go on a panel to discuss about it? And, you know, every bone in my body was absolutely no way, you know, but I've figured that my story, I'd come so far, and the universe had put me in this situation for a reason, and it's bigger than me. There are people who aren't brave enough to share the pain of what I've been through. And if I could put my big girl pants on and do it, and it helps one person, and that's a good thing. Anyway, I did this, and it only went and won the award.
Oh, just like that.
So, which is just mind-blowing. And 40s came to watch me, actually. It's 40s. I had 3 tickets, and it was my 40 fam who came to support me that day. And so that was scary. And next thing you know, my film, my story, is just gone off around the world. It's gone to Taiwan. It's gone to Chile. I went to Prague in October for a little festival called Art VR, really cool, all about virtual reality. It was up for the audience award there. Didn't expect to win, but it won.
Wow.
So I ended up having to stay an extra day to go and collect the award. So it's all, and this is all, I firmly believe that running and Heartbeat, they're like that for me. And they're absolutely like that. They help me heal, so I was able to tell my story, but also process my story through movement, and all through the really, really nice collective community that's 40s. And you've let me be me. And that's what I love about 40 Runs so much, because we're just a big group of misfits. And I absolutely love how eclectic my friendship group is now.
I think you've just turned off most of our viewers now by describing it. Cheers, Joe.
And I mean that as a massive compliment. A massive compliment.
I'll let Hayden edit that bit out, maybe.
Yeah, you can maybe edit that bit out, yeah.
No, it's really uplifting to hear that you've reached a point now where you've been through so much pain and grief, and you describe it as that, and yet can talk so openly and honestly about how you've come through it, and how something like running has helped you. And I feel a bit stupid even asking this question, particularly as a kind of middle-aged man. But if someone's sitting here listening and thinking that was it or is me, is there any advice you could give? Is there any words of wisdom that you haven't shared anywhere else that we can kind of just, even if it just helps one person cope a little bit better?
With IVF and fertility in general, all you hear are the happy ever afters.
Yeah.
And you don't ever hear the happy ever afters when there isn't a baby involved. And I know when we got that news, we thought our world was over. But I'm living proof. My marriage is still intact. My husband, Paul, has reluctantly become a 40. And I'm happy. And I didn't think that was possible.
Wow.
But it takes hard work and just talk, because I can guarantee I will hear from people after you share this story, because every time I speak about it, someone gets in touch. And people don't have to get in touch, there's no pressure. But if by me sharing helps people kind of put the big girl pants or big boy pants on, because it's really hard on the blokes too, really hard, just to talk about it, I can guarantee everyone knows someone that's gone through something similar to what Paul and I have gone through.
Yeah.
So don't be scared, and you will be okay.
Fantastic.
Just keep the faith, you will be okay.
Just for clarity, if someone is watching this and says, I'd really like to talk to Jojo about something, you are genuinely saying, please reach out?
Yeah, please do. Please do. Yeah. And be it through my contact at the Fertility Network or the Miscarriage Association, or even just chatting to me, or even you just having a rant. If you want to go for a plod and a chat, you're at your pace. I am more than happy, because if you're not alone, and you will be all right. And keep running, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah. No, it is a truly, inspirational story. And whilst I joke about calling you badass, I do know that comes from a point of love. And I know that you are absolutely committed to, as you said, trying to push yourself as far as you can. Because
it astonishes me.
Life, your body has let you down, and that created.
You can do whatever you put your mind to, and also you've got us lot. 40s are here we'll be cheering you on all the way. Okay. And I think that's what's helped. You've helped me enormously.
Well, I'm getting choked up now, so we need to move it on.
Job done.
Not that your story isn't blooming interesting, but just to kind of lift the mood a little bit. If you watch the YouTube channel, The Long Run Show, I used to do a little bit of kind of the lightning round where I throw questions at you randomly.
No, you didn't warn me about this, Al.
Yeah, well, it's fine because you know the answers. There are no wrong answers. Right? So just a couple.
Right, yeah.
Adidas or Adidas?
Adidas.
Okay. It's not always that way. I think the millennials and the Gen Zs are a bit more inclined.
I'm showing my age now then, aren't I?
Yeah, so that's fine. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Favorite distance to run?
Oh, 10 miles.
So you've got to run this. You can never run any other distance again. So just before you commit,
Oh,
go out every day and see, that's the thing. You know, this is your forever run. It's no longer 10 miles.
Let's do a half.
Yeah, that's quite badass, isn't it? To go out every day and run a half.
Every day?
Yeah, said you can never run any other distance ever again.
I'm going to do it every day.
Well, there might be occasional rest days.
All right, okay. Well, let's go back down to 10 then.
Back to 10. 10 miles. Okay,
yeah.
all right, we'll settle on that one. And God forbid your house was on fire. Is there one piece of running equipment that you'd rescue above anything else?
Oh. Well, this is always on my wrist. It's got to be my trainer, surely.
For the audience, what is it you pointed at then? In case they're listening to it.
You know.
Is it your Garmin?
Yeah, my Garmin doesn't leave me unless it's on charge.
Okay.
Equipment or
anything. It's
got to be your trainers, right? Because without trainers, I can't run.
Okay. What are you in at the moment?
I'm actually wearing my slippers.
I didn't mean literally. I mean on race day.
Oh, I've got stupid feet though, so I can only wear like stability shoes. I'm not spoiled like you normal fitted people.
If we're stuck in the stability shoe conversation.
Yeah, it's a bit boring, hey?
So you've kind of touched on plans for 2026 with Brighton. Does it extend beyond that?
Well, it's kind of off limits discussion in this house at the moment, but I am going to New York in November.
No one's watching, so no one will tell Paul.
I'm very excited.
Go on, make the reveal. What is it? What are you doing?
It was the New York Marathon with the 40 Abordy crew. I'm very excited. And I'm going a few days early and staying with my school friend who lives in the Bronx. So I'm going to have balance. I'm going to go to the Bronx, and then we're going to go to the Fancy Pants Hotel, and then we're going to go do a little run around New York. And I've never been before, so I'm super duper excited.
What, you've never been to New York?
No, because I lost my 30s doing, paying for fertility treatment.
So all I'm going to say is I think those first couple of miles up the Alicante Hills are good practice for getting over that first bridge. So
yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not going for the time in New York. No way.
Right. If you've not been, you've just got to take in the sights.
I'm going to take it all in. Brighton's the one I'm going to race, but New York, no.
A race, is it, time-wise?
Yeah, but I'm keeping that there for now.
Right. Well, on that note, I'm sure fellow Fordies will now tune in, not necessarily to this every time, but certainly look out for your progress over the coming weeks and months as we see you chase down perhaps a PB at Brighton course record, maybe for you.
Big well. Yeah.
Yeah. We won't commit to a time on air because that puts a little bit of pressure on.
No way, not that silly. No.
Okay. And we'll look forward to seeing your journey all the way through to New York. I'll be there as well, so quite excited.
I can't wait. It's going to be super duper.
Yeah, I've been to New York, but and I have run around Central Park, and it is a bit frustrating that the old marathon course used to be just lapped around Central Park, which I think would have been amazing. But to visit 5 boroughs probably is going to be pretty spectacular as well.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be great. Can't wait. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us again, Jojo.
Thanks for having me.
We love you. We love your backstory. We know it has made you the runner and the person you are today. And I think you've articulated it really well.
Thank you.
Just never give up. Just keep persevering. You do survive all your worst days.
Absolutely. And nothing's permanent.
No. Okay. Well, we'll see you again soon, Jojo.
Right, take care.
Good luck for the rest of 2026.
Okay, thank you.
See you later. Bye.